The Parker Shotgun, written by Sue Grafton, is today's episode's topic. We will discuss how it's been solved by this incredible investigator, Kinsey Milhone. But before getting into it, let's start by a brief summary of the story to get more comfortable with the context. It all starts when Lisa Osterling comes to visit Milhone on a Monday morning. She announces that her husband, Rod Osterling, had been shot in the head about 5 months ago, and she was furious that the police had done nothing yet about the case. Rod Osterling was the victim. In fact, he was a cocaine dealer. However, Lisa had recently got pregnant, and Rudd had quit the business just a month before dying. He was shot in the head with a Parker shotgun. That's the name. That's the base story. Now let's see how Milhon gets started in her investigation. She followed an appraisal form she had found for the gun and ended up meeting Avery Lamb. He offered her to help and revealed that the same gun had already been brought to the store and that it's the second time it had gone missing. He gives Milhon an address for the other woman that had brought the gun before. Milhon arrives and meets Jackie Barnett and her husband, who was sitting outside on a chair. She asks questions about the gun, and she also finds out that Bill, the husband, had gone through two strokes recently. Before leaving, she observes her surroundings, meaning their house, and she notices that there is a gun collection in a cabinet. Going through the drive-through, she stumbles upon Eric, Jackie's son. He looked quite suspicious to her, so she remembered exactly how he looked like. She goes back and asks to meet again with the widow. While that happens, she decides to describe the young man from before. Lisa immediately recognizes Eric and announces that he might have been that one kid who owed Rudd some money. Well, Mahone already has a somewhat strong base of her theory. Basically, she knows that the victim was involved in a drug deal and that a young boy, most certainly Eric, had been in debt to him. She also knows that the same gun had been brought by Jackie to try and sell it, but she returned it as soon as she found out its real value. Finally, she knows that that gun was missing and that probably because it was the murder weapon. With all that info, she tries to figure out who might be the killer, and her final conclusion is Jackie started off by taking his husband's gun, who just suffered his first stroke. She tried to sell it to maybe get some extra cash for him. She did change her mind though after finding out its price, and she decided to put it back in the cabinet. Her son Eric knew what her mother had just done, and since he owed Rudd a lot of money, he decided to take the gun to pay him back. Bill, who just got out from the hospital, noticed the missing gun and gets Eric's confession of the gun's whereabouts. He then decides to go meet Rudd in order to take the gun back, but since he wouldn't, Bill shoots him in the head with a very similar one he had. He then proceeds to go back home when he gets his second stroke. While Milhon and Lisa were discussing, she asked her what her theory about the murder was. Already, I was leaning toward the official police version of events. Milhon knows that a lot of people who are involved in drug dealing don't get to live long, but she did keep in consideration that the murder might have been because of something else. When she visited the victim's place, that's where she found the gun's appraisal form. Lisa states that even if that gun was the murder weapon, the police wouldn't care less. But Milhon thinks to herself, I doubted that, but I tucked the slip in my pocket anyway. She still wanted to investigate on her own to maybe find more that might confirm or rule out what she might have thought at the time. Finally, when she visited Jackie about the gun, she seemed quite suspicious about what she was saying, so Milhoon used a smart technique. I let her practice her wide eyed stare for a moment, and then I laid out a little bait just to see what she'd do. It shows how Milhoon suspects everything and everyone before making concrete conclusions, and in this case, it was quite obvious for her that Jackie had something to hide.